Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Vampire Zombie World deck profile. So this is definitely it's almost in my top 5, or it is in my top 5 favorite deck profiles of all time. I'm really excited to show you guys this deck, because zombies are definitely one of my favorite decks of all time, and it's super, super fun, and super, like, toolboxy. However you want to play it, you can play it in a way. Like, there's generic zombie cards that you can throw into this now with the zombie horde structure deck that came out, that you can just kind of play it however you want to, which is really awesome to be able to throw like 3 or 4 different zombie engines together and it just works. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight on this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell and then become part of the notification squad. Definitely check out our Patreon and our Ko-Fi so you guys can become channel donors, and let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Vampire Scarlet Scourge, or Scourge. But if this card is normal or special summon, you can pay 1,000 life points and target a vampire monster in your grave, except another copy of himself, and special summon it. But it can attack this turn, and you can only use this effect once per turn. And then once per turn, at the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed any monsters by battle, you can special summon them from the graveyard to your field, which is pretty cool to be able to just take your opponent's monsters out of the graveyard and just have them straight up on your field. It's like, yeah, I just converted them to vampires, which is cool. 2 copies of Frolin. I think 2 copies of Frolin is perfect. When a monster declares an attack, you can special summon her and then pay increments of 100 all the way up to 3,000 when a zombie monster battles. And then that monster gains attack equal to the amount that you paid, which is really cool. And if this card is destroys any monsters by battle, you can special summon them from your graveyard to your side of the field, which is really, really, really awesome. I really like that effect. 1 copy of Vampire Shadow. I just played as a one of. It's not very... It doesn't synergize as well as it used to. So it's just a good one of. When it's normal summon, you can special summon a dark vampire monster from your hand or deck, which can be beneficial to get stuff out like your Vampire Vamp, your Vampire Retainer, your Familiars, stuff like that, to be able to just grab them straight out of the deck and just, throw them on the field to get you all sorts of different plays. But the only thing that sucks about it is that you can only, for the rest of the turn, that monster is the only one that can attack. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. Like, he's good first turn, and that's why he's a good one-of, because he's searchable, but he's not good later in the game. So I thought about dropping him altogether, but I just love the artwork of him, so I just want to keep him as a one-of. Then we play 1 copy of Vampire Vamp. This card is broke, like, good broke. And plus, she's gorgeous, so you have to play her as a one-of. Once per turn, when a vampire monster is normal summoned, which is a lot easier than it used to be, with Vampire Familiar and Vampire Retainer in your deck, it's really, really easy to just normal summon a vampire and then target a card your opponent controls and equip it to her. And then she gains attack equal to the combined original attack of all monsters equipped to her. And if this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped with a monster by this effect, you can special summon you can special summon her back from the grave, which is really good to be able to just special summon her back. You never normal summon her. You just always, like, special summon her off of different effects out of your deck with stuff like Vampire Awakening, and then special summon her off of Vampire Shadows and stuff like that. Just really easy to get out of the deck, though. Maybe even Mizuki to send her to grave and stuff like after she's been sent to grave and stuff like that. Then I play 3 copies of Vampire Familiar. I feel like Vampire Familiar at 3 is really good. Vampire Familiar and Vampire Retainer are essentially the same card, just one searches spells and one searches traps. But this one's effect is that if it's special summon, you pay 500 life points to add a vampire monster from your deck to your hand. And if it's in the graveyard, you can send a vampire card from your hand or face over your field to the graveyard, and then you special summon it but banish it when it leaves the field. Vampire Retainer does the same thing, but it searches vampire spells and traps instead of monsters, which is really good to have the search ability. And I like it that they broke it up into 2 different monsters to be able to give you that utility that you need. It makes it a little balanced. So that's it for the vampires. For the zombies, we play 2 copies of Doom King Ballardrot because he's good in every zombie deck, and he's splashable in any zombie deck. Basically, if you have a field spell, you can special summon him from the graveyard, which is just awesome every single standby phase, which is just wow. And he also has the effect of that once per train, when a zombie monster, except another copy of himself, activates its effect, which with Zombie World, all monsters on the field become zombies. And Ash Blossom, I believe, is a zombie as well, so that's something to keep in mind. You can either negate the effect or banish a monster from the field or grave, and he doesn't target. So Ballardrot is a big boss monster in itself. 2 copies of Necro World Banshee. Necro World Banshee is really good in the deck because she searches Zombie World, and it's just like you don't even need the copies of Terraforming in this deck. You just don't need it because of her. 2 copies of Glow Up Bloom. Glow Up Bloom is really, 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 really good. Glow Up Bloom is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish it to add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. Or if Zombie World's on the field, you could just instantly special summon it. So, like, you can instantly special summon Vamp. You can instantly special summon just about anything you need to. 1 copy of Zombie Master. Zombie Master is something that's optional. I like it because I have the 1 super rare version of this card, and I just really wanted to play it. But Zombie Master is once per turn, you can send a monster from your hand to the grave, and then special summon a level 4 lower zombie monster from your either player's grave. The reason I play this as one of is because it really works well with Vampire Retainer and Vampire Familiar. It really works well with them because if they're special summon, you get to pay 500 and then search. So that's really good. Double Unizombie. I only play 2 Unizombies because I play 3 Solitaires. Solitaire at 3, basically you just tribute it, special summon Unizombie. Unizombie sends from hand and or deck to the graveyard, and then it gains a level. But it's really good to just send the zombies to the graveyard. But you only really need 2 because you play 3 Solitaire, so it's like playing 5 Unizombies. Double Mizuki. I only play double Mizuki now because you only really need 2 Mizukis. You're never going to resolve 3. I never resolve 3. I agree with people nowadays. The game is really fast, and you only really need 2. And a lot of our vampires can revive themselves, so you only really need 2. 1 copy of Gozuki because Gozuki sends other zombies to the graveyard as well. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish another zombie monster from your graveyard, except him, and then special summon a zombie type monster from your hand. So that can be really beneficial to summon something like if you have a Vamp in your hand and he gets sent to the graveyard, you just instantly banish another zombie in your grave and then special summon Vamp, which is really good. And that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So this deck is just really, 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 really good. And I really recommend. I actually am playing a 42 card variant of this because this next card, which is 3 copies of Super Polymerization, because we can play it at 3 and summon Dragon, Necro, Nethersoul Dragon. Yeah, that's a mouthful. But you can summon it really easily with Super Polymerization. Like I used to play Dragon's Mirror in here, but now you just play Super Poly and just destroy your opponent's entire field. 3 copies of Zombie World. Zombie World is all monsters on the field and the grave become zombies, and neither player can tribute summon monsters except zombies. So if your opponent's playing anything that tribute summons, you just look across the table and be like, I won. Thanks. GG. 3 copies of Vampire Domain. We don't play that many spells, so let me scoot these down right here. Vampire Domain is really good. You could probably get away with 2 if you wanted to cut it down to 40. I think that 3 is the better option, but Vampire Domain is basically once per turn you can pay 500 life points. Once per turn you pay 500 life points during your main phase. This turn you can normal summon an additional vampire monster, and then also if you each time your vampire monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you gain the same amount of life, which is really good. So it actually adds that like vampire-ish feel to it, like you're gaining life and they're losing it. So 2 copies of Vampire's Desire. Vampire Desire is pretty good. You get to target a face-up monster you control and send a vampire monster from your deck to the grave with a different level from that monster. And if you do, the targeted monster's level becomes the level of the vampire. So the level manipulates to get you into the Vampire Sheridan. And then you get to target a vampire monster in your grave and then send a monster you control to the grave, and if you special summon the vampire that's in your grave. So it can kind of really help get the vampires out of your grave back onto the field. So it's kind of like Monster Reborn almost, but I usually just use that second effect to be able to revive vampires. That's the main cause that I use this for. You could probably play it as a one-of if you want to get it down to, like, you could probably play it more like this to get the deck down to 40 if you want to, but I like it like this. They are searchable, so it's up to you how you play it. So that's it for the spells. Let's get into the traps, because vampires have traps. Wow, I know. So we're playing 2 copies of Vampire Awakening and 3 copies of Vampire Domination. This is really good. Basically, this is Infernity Barrier. When a spell or trap or monster effect is activated while you control a vampire monster, you negate the activation if you do destroy it. And if it's a monster, you gain life equal to the original attack. Vampire Awakening just says special summon a vampire monster from your deck, but destroy it during the end phase. Like, that's it. It just special summons, it grabs any vampire you want out of your deck. We only play 12 in the main deck, but you can grab any of the 12. So that's it for the main deck, guys. I really enjoy this main deck how it is. You could change a couple of things, add a couple of hand traps if you wanted to, Call by the Grave, Nibiru, anything that you wanted to play in here. It's up to you. But I think that the main deck is perfect just how it is. So that's it for the main. Let's get into the extra. So for the extra, we're playing double Vampire Sheridan. I just don't know why they didn't just name him Vampire Sheridan. But Vampire Sheridan is a really good 2-of in the deck. You make him quite frequently in this deck. And he's really good as a 2-of because I can summon him pretty easily. But you could probably get away with one if you wanted to just play one of it. And this deck entirely got reprinted for the most part out of the Megatons as commons. Like, this deck is cheap now. And when I mean cheap, I mean dirt cheap. One copy of Trishula. It's really easy to make this with Glow Up Bloom and 2 level 4s. The Unizombie kind of can make it. It's a little weird how you have to use, like, the retainers and stuff like that to kind of go around that, but it's weird, but you can. But it's really easy to make. You just kind of have to look at your levels. Void Ogre, because you can negate spells and traps with it if you don't have monsters in your hand. Beals, it's really easy to summon Beals, and a lot of decks don't have outs to it. Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon gains under attack for each zombie monster on the field and in the graveyards, both graveyards, so it just gets huge for no reason. And when another zombie monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon one zombie monster from either player's graveyard to your field, and you can only use this effect once per turn. He's just good. Like, I always summon this, like, every single duel, just to be able to revive stuff. Black Rose Dragon, just to kind of destroy the board, just to be able to, like, stop my opponent from doing anything. Boral Sword, because Boral Sword's good, and you can make it really easy. You could change this out if you wanted to, but, I mean, Boral Sword's budget now. One copy of Nightmare Unicorn. Nightmare Unicorn just bounces stuff. Avenged Savior. I know this is kind of weird, but I'd play one Avenged Savior because its ability... People don't realize the second ability is really good. During your damage calculation, if it battles an opponent's monster, you can quick effect send a zombie-type monster from your deck to the grave, and then that opponent's monster loses attack equal to that monster's level of the sent monster times 200. So, like, you can make them lose a lot of life points. You can make them lose up to, like... If you send Vampire Vamp, they're going to lose 1,400, like, right off the bat. So he comes up to, like, 3,000 as a normal, like, Link 2. So if you need to get over something, if you can get over to them with Avenged Slayer or Savior, I do summon him quite often. 2 Vampire Sucker, because sometimes you need the suck. Wee Witch to boost them all by 500, just in case. You could drop it if you want to, but I like it. One copy of Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon, because it is so good in this deck. Like, you summon this and Baller Draw it, and your opponent's like, yep, I give up. Like, they just do. And then one copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is really good in this deck because you can just instant fusion it, or not instant fusion it, but super poly it straight out onto the field. And actually, I tell you what, drop the Wee Witch, and throw in Linkuriboh, because you can really easily make Linkuriboh in this deck. I really quickly was, like, debating which one I wanted to play, but you don't need Wee Witch. Don't play Wee Witch, play Linkuriboh. It'd be so much easier just to play Linkuriboh, because you can link away your Vampire Familiar and your Glow Up Bloom to the graveyard to be able to summon Linkuriboh just really easily. So play it like this. But that's it for that, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this one. It's really, really fun to play around with. It's really, really awesome that you can mix, like, Shiranuis and vampires, and, like, it's awesome. Shiranui Vampire, regular zombie world, like, weird deck. I'm probably just going to label this Vampire Underworld or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. I'm really excited to show off the rest of my decks for the 30 days of deck profiles. We are getting down to the end of it, but don't worry, guys. We're going to keep those deck profiles rolling. But these are just my favorite decks of all time. So anyways, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and soon become part of the notification squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.